Hi, I'm really pissed off. Um, okay, so I used to be a member, an active member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, more commonly known as the Mormons. Um, I was a convert to the church. I was active for about a year. I'm trying to spill out a lot of personal history at once because I don't talk about this stuff. But I was a member for like a year, pretty involved in the activities in the church. I was involved in missionary activities, not being a missionary myself, but I had a lot of association with this church. Um, One of the main points which made me turn, besides theology, was the church's position on homosexuality. Not just because of my own interests, but the things that I witnessed in the church um, went beyond how many angels sit on the head of a pin. Like, it was very real policies that the church propagated, and they propagated it. So it wasn't, I was reading into something, it's like it was very clear, very explicit, the church's position on homosexuality. Um, and that really took the scales from my eyes in that respect, first of all. So, uh, since then, it's been a few years. Since then, I've kept in a little bit of an eye on the church, like what's going on, just generally curious. Um, I am not an anti-Mormon. I want to make that clear right now. I don't hate the church. I don't hate its members by any means. I would not regret my experience with the Mormon Church. Very nice people, vast majority of the time. But it is the church's doctrines and policies, especially on social issues, which are disturbing and remain disturbing and, in my view, harmful. And that is the main crux of why I left. Because I figured, truly inspired by God, to put it in a nutshell, truly inspired by God would not share the sympathies or the positions that the church takes. The leadership obviously doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. So, no hate on individual Mormons though. The church put up a website a number of times addressing specifically the LGBTQIA plus issue and what their position doctrinally was. And this was very relevant because even in my own experience, I knew a good number, probably a handful, of members that openly struggled with homosexuality and transgenderism and things like that. And this was read to them and they accepted it, they took it in. But like I said, the misery was evident. But the church, anyway, put up a website. It's called it's the Church of Jesus Christ.org. So it's like a sub link to that website, but it's a specific resource for what they call same-sex attraction. And I think I'll include the link in the description of this video so you can just go right to it and see for yourself. But I was reading over it kind of casually, like, yeah, I know their position or whatever. But this really sums it up in points, in bullets, that makes it very clear. So it says things like, is feeling same-sex attraction a sin? And then it will give a little bullet that you can click on, and it will give you usually an excerpt from a speech that a church authority gave that addresses that specific issue. In this case, if you click on is feeling same-sex attraction a sin, like itself, it will give you a speech by a guy named Elder M. Russell Ballard, where he's like a high member of the church. And he says, let us be clear, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints believes that the experience, quote, of same-sex attraction is a complex reality for many people. The attraction itself is not a sin, but acting on it is. Even though individuals do not choose to have such attractions, they do choose how they respond to them. With love and understanding, the church reaches out to all God's children, including those with same-sex attraction. And then it gives kind of a summation, a summary of the position below that. That's not a direct quote. But it says, while same-sex attraction is not a sin, it can be a challenge. While one may not have chosen to have those feelings, he or she can commit to keep God's commandments. The parent of a child who experiences same-sex attraction or identifies as gay should choose to love and embrace that child. Oh, how sweet. As a community of church members, we should choose to create a welcoming community for these weird fuckers. It doesn't say that last part. I don't want to get sued. Okay, so this puts into a potent word what I had been saying from the beginning about this whole position. Arrogant. Condescending language. Oh, you're an anomaly that we need to treat same-sex attracted people. Treat them okay. How many times have I heard members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, commentators, members, active people, even authorities, how many times have I heard them refer to the gays in that sort of exclusionary foreigner, let the foreigner in the gate, be nice to the foreigner. I know they're weird, which is what they want to say. I know they're weird and it's all fucked up, but just be nice to them. Come on. You're not fucking fooling me. Like, true compassion doesn't work like that. It doesn't have like a pearly face and then beneath it it's filth. Like Jesus himself says to the Pharisees at the temple, when he clears the temple out of all the people like selling their merchandise. All fair and clean without, but within full of dead men's bones and all corruption. I have not seen a character of a church more precisely demonstrated than by the attitude this church has about the gays. As if there are normal people and then the gays. Do you not see the problem here? You're assuming that schism to begin with. That gay means different. Is it different? It means different. It does mean different. But different in so much that it's a challenge. Oh, they're suffering. How unfortunate. How many times have I heard myself going to officials within the church, bishops, and they will say, it's unfortunate that some people have the challenge to live with of being attracted to the same sex. I'm sorry to hear that you're struggling. And then you have these members who literally break down crying because so-and-so must choose between her entire family and her love for females as a lesbian. And she's breaking down crying because you, as an institution, choose to take the position of creating that choice. You choose to make issue with it and then wonder why it explodes in your face. Why are all these members leaving? Why is there so much contention? And then you try to cover it with this gloss of fakeness, of phony compassion, of condescending pets. I'm sorry you feel that way, but Christ will give you strength. Fuck off. Fuck off. There is no issue. Even the wording of like, we're addressing this issue. Talk about creating the sickness and then providing the cure. Creating the sickness and providing the cure. There is no sickness. That's what you don't get. It's the same with people who struggle with any sin. It's okay. Whoa. So you're assuming having sex relations with someone of the same gender is wrong to begin with. You're basing it on that premise, and then you're going from there. It's a challenge. This is unsustainable. But what's more is that it's unnecessary. Luckily, this church has a back door. Revelation. Prophetic messages. Backstepping, much with the other troublesome policies that the church has had in the past that I won't mention here because it's all over. It's plenty. This issue, however, I would classify as unnecessary. It's a crusade of waste. But the reason it ought to be addressed and the reason why I get so triggered and angry about it is because of the misery that it causes, the very real oppression. I was fortunate to be a convert, but I've known people who grow up in the church, many I've heard of and known, who grow up in their family, usually very large, typically Mormon, very large family, very well connected. There's even some connections with things like employment or, social circles. Imagine they were gay. Actually gay. And what's interesting is that in the church, if you're gay, you can be a member. You can even be openly gay. Sorta. You can be openly struggling with your gayness. But that's it. Of course, you cannot be with someone with whom you feel a connection with. In other words, in plain language, if you're gay and you're a man, you can't fuck another man. Woman, you can't be with another woman. You have to be like a celibate, alone, unmarried. And then later after you're dead, they say, this is what they actually say, you'll get the reward of like the celestial kingdom. And maybe God, having given you your terrible trial in life, will then lift the weight from your shoulder in heaven. And you'll finally be straight with a planet full of infinite wives. How fucked up is that? But the fucked up part to me isn't the fucked up, the fricked up theology, because there's a lot of theology out there, no judgment. It's just that this theology, this ideology extends to very real people. And as a authority for very real policies, that I'm independent of the church, but there are many who are not, who are very dependent on the good graces of the church and their families, even their job. What a strange way to live in total fear. I don't even know if I'm asking anything here. I'm not. No one's even going to watch this who's in authority. I'm just wanting to express my frustration with this thing. It's insanity. It's a non-issue, inconsequential as to someone's spiritual salvation. Inconsequential. Making a mountain out of a molehill in the highest degree. I would hope the church would change its ways.